Before we begin, I would like to go over some guidelines for our forum. This event is held so our senior population can make informed decisions when they vote on Tuesday, April 7th. Each candidate will be given 5 minutes to make their presentation. We'll go in alphabetical order, and I ask that you come up to the podium. You'll have 5 minutes when then we get the hook, so don't go over your 5 minutes. Let's see. After each candidate makes their presentation, there will be questions and answers. Questions from the audience are limited to 2 questions per person. Questions must be directed towards a candidate. No debates are allowed. There will be someone timing each candidate to make certain they don't go over their allotted time. Candidates will be signaled when they reach their 5-minute limit, and candidates will be asked to stop speaking at the end of their 5 minutes. We will not be taking comments from the audience. It'll be questions, and again, there'll be no debating. So, again, thank you for all attending, and I think our first one would be, who's? Jennifer. Come on up, Jen. I'm gonna hop up. Yeah. You're gonna
feel silly walking all the way over there.
use this and this as well.
Oh my
Okay?
goodness. Multitasking?
Yes, you can do it.
Good morning. My name is Jennifer DeMontion, and I'm running for Library Board Trustee. I would first like to thank Senior Center Director Sue Clark and all of her staff and volunteers for having the Candidates Forum and allowing me an opportunity to introduce myself to you. I've lived here in Milford my entire life. I'm married and have a 4-year-old daughter who will also grow up here. I've worked in finance, customer service, management, and as a community advocate, so I believe I have a diverse and pertinent set of skills that can greatly benefit the Milford Library Board of Trustees. I'm running for this position because after having my daughter, I realized just how important being active in the Milford community is. I do not want to simply live within the Milford town borders. I want to actively participate in maintaining and improving upon the services that the town of Milford offers so that our community will grow and flourish not only today, but for all of the generations to come. I believe that the Milford Town Library is a true cornerstone in the Milford community, and I want to do anything and everything possible I can to help maintain and improve upon the existing programs, policies, services, and technologies the library offers. I want to make sure that we can enjoy the library today and in all future generations, including my daughters. Milfordians should always be able to count on the Milford Town Library as a welcoming, comfortable, and safe place they can go to learn, interact, and be part of our community. I want to assist the Board of Trustees and the Library Director in maintaining a strong financial standing with prudent fiscal decisions regarding certification, infrastructure, programming, and technology, while also keeping in mind the ever-changing needs of our town. We need to work as a team to ensure that the Milford Library continues to grow, thrive, and be relevant. I would appreciate your vote on April 7th, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to serve the town and help ensure that our library remains the shining star that it is.
Okay, starting over. John Erickson, candidate for school committee. Lived my entire life in Milford, graduated Milford High School in 1986, graduated WPI in 1990. After college, spent many years in my father's electrical contracting business, growing it and expanding it. More recently, I was appointed as the Assistant Building Commissioner back in 2004 for the town of Milford, and subsequently I now serve as the Building Commissioner for the town of Milford. I am fortunate to work for the town of Milford. I was fortunate to run a business for many years in the town of Milford. I think it's a great community, one that I care very deeply about. I think the school system is naturally paramount to the education of our children. I think it's also the social and economic epicenter of any community, and I feel that I bring sound decision-making ability, unbiased approach, and I look forward to hopefully having the opportunity to serve as one of 7 members on the school committee. Thank you.
All right, are we still on? Okay, there we go. Well, good morning. My name is Scott Harrison. I'm a current member and current chairman of the Milford School Committee. I want to thank Sue Clark as well as the Senior Center for having us here this morning, as well as thank all of you for coming and participating. Look forward to answering your questions. Education is really the foundation of this town. It's really the foundation for our children and gives them the base for their success later in life. Helps teach them the values along with the parents that help raise them. And really, they think about the number of hours that our students are now spending in our schools. They're spending more hours in our schools than in some cases the parents have an opportunity to spend with them in the afternoons. So it really becomes a critical component that we're continuing to give every advantage to the Milford youth. As a school committee member, I've had the great pleasure of being able to see through this process, go through the budget process now 3 times, lead through a balanced budget, and understand that though education certainly is the foundation, it is important that we balance the needs and support our teachers, our students and faculty with the needs of the taxpayers of Milford. You know, it's not just a blank check that we can spend as needed. We need to make sure that we're balancing the needs of both so that way our residents can afford to continue to live in this town and continue to educate their children. Very proud to have been raised by 2 retired Milford school teachers. I grew up in this town. I graduated Milford High School in 1995. My wife is a 1991 graduate of Milford High School as well. I've got 2 children. My daughter, Kirsten, is a freshman at Milford High School, and my son, Connor, is a 5th grader over at Stacy Middle School. I'm very fortunate that through the upbringing of my parents, and they taught me the value of education and certainly of giving back and continuous improvement. I'm now passing that on to the next generation. As a member of the school committee, I'll continue to balance the needs of our teachers and students with the benefit to the taxpayers. I ask for your vote on Tuesday, April 7th. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Sue Clark, for putting this together, and her staff and volunteers, and thank you for coming out today. My name is Will Kincaid. I know many of you. I am a candidate for selectman. In the past, I've been a town meeting member, a Milford Housing Authority commissioner. I served 9 years on the school committee. I've also was fortunate enough to be on 2 building projects, 2 building committees, and I'm a relatively new member on the Milford Pond Committee. I got appointed in 1999. With that said, I've always enjoyed serving the town of Milford. I'm sorry, I'm fighting a cold like most of us now. I've enjoyed serving the town of Milford, and I look forward to serving if I am fortunate enough to get your vote on Tuesday, April 7th. I'm also a product of the Milford Public Schools. I was born here in 1976. I graduated Milford High School in 1994. I then went on to the University of Massachusetts at Amherst, where I studied political science and education. I had planned on being a we still on? Okay. I had planned on being a social studies teacher here in Milford, but as life takes us in different paths, I've now worked for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for almost 20 years. For the last 9 years, I've been at the MBTA, and I serve as the Deputy Director of Automated Fare Collection. So I truly have 20 years in state government experience and another 16 years in municipal experience here in Milford on various boards and commissions. I look forward to your questions, and I respectfully ask for your vote on Tuesday, April 7th. Thank you.
Right, I'm a candidate for school committee, Scott Vecchiola. Oh, this one? Alrighty. You hear me good now? You hear me? Alright. My name is Scott Vecchiola. I'm a candidate for school committee. Just bear with me because I'm fighting a cold too. Well, this time of year, fun time to have one. Let's see, I'm born and raised in town. I've been on various boards through the years. I'm still active with the Vernon Grove Cemetery Board. I'm on Milford Pond Reconstruction Committee. I was looking, what else can I do for the town? I figured the school committee is the best place to help out, aggravate for the kids, make sure they get the proper everything done they need. That's what I was looking at. I figure that's the best place to do, and I appreciate your vote on April 7th. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mike Visconti. I am running for an open seat on the Board of Selectmen, and I would appreciate your vote. I, too, am a lifelong resident of Milford. Now, being a lifelong resident of Milford does not qualify me or anybody else as a candidate, but I believe my experience in management for the last 40 years does qualify me for the position. I have served the town on the Zoning Board of Appeals for 20 years, and for the first 16 years of those 20 years, I did have a perfect attendance record. In my opinion, if you're not going to show up, then you're not a good member. I will be there. I will show up. I am a strong advocate for senior citizens and their rights. I want our senior citizens to be able to stay in their homes and keep their properties. And I will do what I can to stop the spiraling tax rate in our town. I am a dedicated person. When I take on a job, I am committed to it, and I will be there for you, day in and day out. I am by nature a conservative spender. Now that doesn't mean I'm cheap. What that means is I watch every dollar and where every dollar goes. And by being a conservative spender, I believe I will add a much-needed balance to the current Board of Selectmen that has been missing for many years. I would appreciate it if you would consider voting for me on April 7. I will work hard for you. Keep in mind that the collateral benefit or the side effect of watching out for our seniors is that by watching out for our seniors, we will also help the next generation, our seniors' children and grandchildren. Because what we leave behind for them, they have to live with, whether it's a burden or not. I am not interested in leaving behind a legacy of infrastructure and personnel. I have no desire to look back at my career on the Board of Selectmen and say, oh, I was responsible for that getting built or for this being done, which cost the taxpayers millions of dollars. I have no interest in that. My interest is in looking out for the taxpayers, the seniors, the veterans, and by doing that, I will also be looking out for the next generation, as I said. Please, I would ask you respectfully to vote for me on April 7. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody. I also want to thank Sue and the Senior Center for having us all here. My name is Mike Walsh, and I'm running for my third term on the Milford School Committee. My wife Nancy and I have lived here in town almost 30 years. We have 2 grown children that are products of the Milford Public Schools. I've been employed at Imperial Cars for over 25 years. My reasons for running really are threefold. It's the biggest budget in the town of Milford at $41.5 million, creeping up a little bit this year. We've got the new Woodland School project coming on board. We've got the English language learners that we've got to work with. So there's a lot of important issues that are going on right now in the schools that need to be looked at, worked on with strong leadership. I feel that my 6 years currently serving as vice chairman, I serve as chairman of the Milford Youth Commission, I serve as chairman of Milford Catholic Elementary School. I feel that I have the experience to do this. I ask for your vote on April 7th. Thank you.
Nancy So none of you mentioned that.
4 people running for
So currently there are 4 of us that are running. There are 3 seats that are available this time.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Look, I have another microphone. That's okay. Any other questions? Oh, come on. Gail, you always have a question.
All right, I'll ask a question. I'm not sure if I'm addressing this to the right person, but I'll address it to Mr. Kincaid. As a senior citizen, I've recently, in the last couple of years, encountered problems. My husband has been ill, and I find that we have to go to Worcester for everything. Fortunately for me, I've been able to just recently transfer him to Milford. But if you don't drive, you can't get to Worcester. And I find this as a serious problem to a lot of people that I have spoken to. And the older we get, the less we want to drive. I do drive, but I wouldn't go to Worcester. I mean, I come from Boston. I wouldn't drive to Boston either. And I mean, I'm not picking on Worcester. But I think this is a serious problem that is coming up that needs to be addressed. The senior center does have a van, but it doesn't go there, and you can't, and I needed it every single week. You know, you cannot do that. So I really think that this is something that needs to be addressed, is to provide some kind of transportation for the seniors in this town.
That's a great question, and that's an exciting question. First of all, I love transportation questions, and this has been something that has come up repeatedly throughout this campaign, especially having one-on-one conversations with people. I think it's our senior population, and it's also our baby boomers that are going to continue to come into that senior living experience. With that, we're looking, I know the town is been approached by the Metro West Regional Transit Authority that's headquartered out of Framingham to see if they could offer and if we would be willing to pay for fixed routes here in the town of Milford. Now, in all honesty, even if we ended up moving in that direction based on the expense, it's still probably a couple of years away. Right now, the MWRTA has transportation, 1 bus in the morning, 1 bus in the afternoon that actually comes in and out of Milford. That comes in and out of Milford. What I've proposed during this last few months of having this conversation is, I think we need to, obviously the town as a whole, sit with Sue, and we either need to add additional vans and buses because of the growing population and the growing demand that comes along with that. What I've also talked about is dealing and maybe at least starting the conversation to see if it's possible, reaching out to the assisted living organizations that are expanding in Milford and that have been here, and see if we can partner private, public, to utilize their vans as well. That may not be something that's possible, but I know I haven't had that conversation with someone, and if other people have, I think we need to have it again. But at the very least, more transportation needs to be added. Now, with that, I know I'm long-winded, but the bottom line is, sooner or later we have to say, okay, this is the pot of money we have. We need transportation. So that needs to become a priority. That might mean taking away from something else, but that's what we all have to do, even in our private checkbooks and living day to day and month to month, is choose your priorities. But this is something that so many people are talking about that it's going to be dealt with. And you know, if I'm elected, all I can tell you is that I have a list of priorities that I'm going to start bringing up on my very first meeting to get people together and have conversations. I've had a lot of experience. You guys have been good to me, putting me in positions in town, and I'm not going to sit quietly and learn. I'm going to hit the ground running.
We need to be very careful that the benefit that we receive from additional transportation far outweighs the cost of that transportation. Now, I know firsthand that transportation is required in this town. In my conversations with various people, it seems to me that most people, maybe unlike yourself, are more inclined to need transportation in and around town. For example, getting to an appointment at the Milford Hospital and that type of thing at a certain time. I think we have to seriously look into that. Once again, making sure that the benefit far outweighs any expense that might be incurred. This goes along with looking out for not only our seniors, but all of our residents who are, for one reason or another, unable to get transportation or have transportation of their own. And I will look into that, I will work on that, and I will make sure, above all, that the benefit far outweighs any expense. What we don't need is additional cost to the seniors for a limited service. Thank you.
Jan? Question? Peggy? Yes? Want to come back to you? Nick?
Maybe, or sit down.
You guys must have a good question. No? You all did such a great job that I think they put in more. Come on, my daughter one. Okay, Anita has a good question. But will you stop saying that?
You can be too hard on yourself.
I know we have a van, because I've seen it. So who pays for that? And is there, like, do the people use it pay something, or is it all free? And where can they go, and could they have a run to Worcester, let's say, if it was needed?
Do you
I think that's your question.
Do you schedule?
Yeah.
You explained it all.
Well, would you like me to explain the van and then maybe, give you something to work off of?
That would be great.
We do have a van, and the town of Milford funds it for 11 months. The 12th month, we need to come up with the money ourselves. It goes for medical and errands around town. The town of Hopedale is also able to use our van for medical. In order for us to get an out-of-town van, we have to pay for that out of a revolving account that is dwindling. So there is out-of-town transportation. We go different routes, different days, but it's not cheap. It could cost I'm going to say it's about a $25 ride. The local is $3 round trip. And I think that, we've done a really good job managing our van. The town does not own it. We have a contract on it. So, I'm certainly, as well as my seniors, looking for ways to upgrade that whole program because it is falling short.
If I might, there was a period of time when I was unable to walk, let alone drive. And I had the opportunity to take advantage of the senior van. I don't know how I got by without it if it was not there. As Sue said, it was $3 round trip. The van picked me up whenever I had an appointment. And when I was done with my appointment, they picked me up and brought me home. Now, while I was riding on that van, I did speak with one gentleman, and I do not know the details of this, but this particular gentleman used to take the van to a stop somewhere up on Route 140. I think it might have been the Fallon building up on 140, where he was then able to pick up a shuttle that took him to Worcester. Now, once again, I do not have the details of that. All I can tell you is what this gentleman told me, that he used to take the senior van to pick up a shuttle on 140 to go to Worcester. That may be something worthwhile looking into. Thank you.
Can I read that? No. Okay, in regard to that, if you have Fallon Insurance, which is now Reliant, Trust, whatever, they do have a van. However, it leaves Fallon at 8:30 in the morning, and it returns when you call them. But if you have an earlier appointment, it's fairly easy to get somebody to take you for a ride if you're right here in town. Basically, I find you have friends and neighbors who are willing to do it. But when you have a serious illness where you have to be all the way up in Worcester every single week, the van from Fallon goes to St. Vincent's, but does not go to UMass Memorial. So that's another whole ballgame. So this is why I'm saying this is a really serious problem. I know a lot of people that are going up to UMass Memorial.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up. Like I said, I did not know the details of that shuttle, but thank you. I think one of the things we can do, and we can include the Milford Regional in this plan, and that is to talk with these various medical institutions to ask them to help us by providing shuttles between the different medical facilities. I know there's a lot of that going on in Boston. I've taken advantage of that when I've had to go to Boston medical facilities. That is one route we might want to take, so that if you are able to get your ride to St. V's, then maybe St. V's might have a shuttle going to the other medical. No, they don't. That's one of the things maybe we can look into and encourage them to maybe offer that for the people that need that medical attention. Thank you.
No, and I agree, like I said before, of having these conversations with even all of our private industry, including Milford Hospital, and put them to the test to be good corporate neighbors. However, in the end, this is the responsibility of the town of Milford, and thank you, Sue, for explaining that. I just recently had the pleasure of being appointed on the Finance Committee to the Senior Center as her rep, as Sue's rep to the FinCom. And when Sue explained her funding to me, even though she was very positive about it, certainly not complaining at all, and you very rarely do, if ever, but it's very creative how this place is funded. I'm having the same argument with the youth center. They're paying people out of revolving accounts, this staff member, a van funded for 11 months out of the year. I mean, I'm not sure who comes up with this stuff, but Sue's making it work. So I think, again, just from streamlining budgets, all these departments, why they're not being treated the same, I don't know, and maybe that has something to do with the grants that Sue's been able to get, things of that nature, but all of these should be streamlined, whether it's the library, the youth center, the seniors, there's friends, organizations with revolving accounts, but we should be running all of these town departments based on department budgets, expenses, receivables, everything of that nature. So I think that's something too that when I spoke to Sue in the past, I'm talking about that because that's even going to affect how we get a second van here and go from there. I do think we should talk to all of our assisted living places that we've allowed to expand and grow, Milford Hospital, but in the end, even if those conversations don't result in anything tangible or quite frankly what we want, then it's going to fall on us and we're going to have to do it again, making that a priority. Because as my mother even gets older in the next 20 years, I know she's in the audience, but this will end up all right. I'm certainly hoping that when she no longer feels comfortable driving somewhere, that we're going to be able to have the resources to get her to her doctor's appointment. So that's why it's a priority to me.
I find that the assisted living and places like that, they do have their own vans for the most part, and they will transport their patients back and forth.
Yes.
I've had that experience too, and that worked out well, but it was only right here in Milford.
Thank you.
You should have a question now, Jerry. Chief, did you have a question? I thought you had your hand up. You got your notes. They're all taking notes. I hope you realize they all have little pads on it. So I think they're all really paying attention. I think our seniors are really, they make their vote with their mind, not their heart. And I think a lot of local elections, we all know that sometimes, with so-and-so something or other. But I think our seniors really do make an informed decision when it comes to casting their vote. Anyone else? Nick has a question.
Oh, yeah.
I like the question.
This is not a question, it's just that, for one, the comment. I want to apologize for this small crowd, for you candidates. You showed up in spirits, and then later on, the people say, oh, he's a crook, and he's this, and he's that. They should be here for this situation. Now, 7 or 8 ladies and myself, It's a disgrace, I think. Thank you.
Anyone else? You don't want this one. This is
Here you go.
strict votes.
There's no need to apologize. We all know that some people, for one reason or another, cannot make certain events, and I don't mind. What I will say is if you do run into those people, one of the things, once again, getting back to how I treat seniors, you can tell them to feel free to call me at any time. Now, I have made myself accessible through email, through telephone, and through Twitter, which some of you might not be familiar with Twitter. Once again, also, for some of you who are more comfortable using your home phone, what I have done is my home phone is obviously a local number, so that will not cost you any long distance charges to call me. But I also have a local cell phone number. So even if you want to use your home phone to call my cell phone, it will not cost you any long distance charges. And I'll be happy to give you that phone number if you are taking notes. And maybe you can pass that on to some of the people who are not able to make it here today that might have a question for me. They can feel free to call me, email me, tweet me, anything they want to do, I will respond to them. My local cell phone number is 508-473-0014. The only thing I would ask is if you could please use my home phone first and then follow up by my cell phone. Sometimes I do shut my cell phone off if I'm in a meeting or whatever, so there may be a time when I'm not able to answer my cell phone. But you can always leave a message on my home phone. Or if some of you, especially the ones that are a little more computer savvy, would like to email me, feel free to email me at any time. My email address has been published in numerous locations. If I could give it to you now, if you like, if you would like to write it down, or if you want to see me after, I can give it to you personally. Thank you.
Any closing comments from the candidates?
I'd just like to make a statement. I think Scott and I would both speak to this. You heard me say earlier that we're responsible for the largest budget in the town of Milford. We know that we're responsible for the largest budget in the town of Milford. And the senior citizens really don't get any use of that budget. So when we're playing with that budget, that number keeps creeping because education keeps getting more and more expensive. We keep in the forefront of our mind at all times the seniors, because we know, being on a limited income, how raising the budget raises the taxes and affects you, and yet you really don't get any services, out of the schools because your children are all grown and gone. So I just wanted to say we're very careful to watch that. We thank you.
All right. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Roth, do you have any questions for our candidates? I saw you sneak in the door.
Geez, I was going to come in and listen for a moment. And I don't know, has any questions been asked about the new transportation study that's going on? I missed that.
Yes.
You got that, huh?
That was the big topic of the room.
Very good, very good. Thank you.
It's been addressed. Thank you. And before we close, I want to invite you all to stay, have some coffee and pastry, meet everyone, meet the candidates, and I also need to thank my staff, John and O'Loughlin, for helping me put this together. And I'd like to introduce Veronica Oja. She's our intern for the She spends every other week with us, and she's been a great help. So we do reach out to all the resources that we can get. Dolores DeVita is up front. She decided to stay up there and man the forts for us. So I thank all the staff, and I thank all my seniors for coming, and of course the candidates. So please stay, have some coffee and pastry, introduce yourselves, and again, thank you. Good luck, all of you.